Hey everybody, this is Tim from Tone Chaser, and in this video I'm going to show you how I quickly and easily make my MIDI drums for my cover songs. And it's quite a vital part of making a MIDI drum set sound realistic, and it's really easy when you follow the steps which we're about to go through. And I of course use Cubase, that's what you can see in front of you here, but if you use another DAW like Pro Tools or whatever, I'm sure they will have a very similar feature like this to make your life just a hell of a lot easier. Now, I recently decided I'm going to make a cover of the song Born by Nevermore. If you don't know who Nevermore are, they are the old band of Jeff Loomis, who is the guitarist for Arch Enemy these days. And they're a killer band. Riffs for days. Absolutely love them. So I am using Superior Drummer 3. And I'm using my Cannibal Corpse preset, which is just a hard-hitting, very crisp, very clear drum set, pretty standard stuff. I'm not going to go into the details of how to make a good sounding kit within Superior Drummer, because there are other people who've done plenty of other videos who are much better at it than I am. So if you want to know the specifics on how to set up a good sounding drum kit, there's plenty others out there. What we are talking about today is how to quickly and easily make your MIDI sound real. Here is my drums. Now, as we've opened up our MIDI file, you can see down here the velocities. Oops. They are all flat. Everything, the entire drum kit. So, here is what we want to do. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see the whole track. There we go. C1 down here, this line, is our kick drum. Now, the kick drum that I use is very heavily triggered, so it doesn't really make much of a difference how hard you hit this thing. But I still do the same process every single time. This is the process. You drag each drum at a time. Now I usually just start from the bottom because it's easier. First one at the bottom here is my kick drum. Click on MIDI at the top. Go down to Logical Presets. Go down to Standard Set 1. And then go down to the bottom option. Random Velocity 60 to 100. That has randomized my velocity between 60 and 100 for that entire track's worth of kick drums, or whatever you've got selected. You could do the entire kit if you wanted, but it gets a little bit tricky to control it if you do that. It's better to do it just one track at a time. Now, this is a bit too all over the place as it is right now. So what I always do for pretty much everything, I will grab the top bit and I will drag it down, and this will flatten that range and bring it down, which will make it a lot quieter. And if you grab this and pull it back up, you can kind of, between these two, you can flatten it. And make it still randomized, still all over the place, but still within a much smaller region, so it makes it a lot more controllable. That's kind of what you want to do. And that's it. That is all I do. Kick drums, done. Now, let's do the exact same thing for our snare. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Now I happen to know that this song is pretty much bog standard, go to the end metal track. So I'm not going to worry about any, small little ghost notes or big rising bits or anything like that. If they happen in your song, you have to go in and manually adjust them. But it's much easier to do the bulk of it. You can do like 80 to 90%, or in my case, 100% of the entire track this way. So we go to MIDI. Logical Presets, Standard Set 1, Randomize Velocity. And there's my snares. Do the same thing. I'm going to flatten them down. And I'm going to bring them back up. Which, that looks, yeah, that'll do. Why not? They're kind of all over the place, but they're still going to be within the same sort of region. And I can bring that back up. And I can flatten it down a bit more. Oops. Control Z. Whenever you accidentally click on the wrong thing. Now, my velocity, I want this to sit around 100, 110, somewhere around that. I might mix it in a bit differently once it's actually kind of like the song is playing. And there we go. Right, next drum. The next drum is the low toms. Now, I happen to know that these 3 keys over here, these are all the drums, as well as the 2 up the top there. These 5 keys are my 5 toms. So if I move that back over, I can now do it, or you don't have to do it one drum at a time. You can do all toms at the same once if you want. Logical presets, standard set 1, random velocity. There we go. Squish them down, bring them together. We can do it like that as well. Bring it back up. Which way? Let's do that. And I want them a little... I don't want them quite as hard as my snare, so I'll leave them about there. That'll probably do fine. Now, between those toms, on the actual MIDI map, we've got this hi-hat here. So I'm just going to highlight it on its own. Exact same thing, guys. Exact same thing. MIDI, presets, set 1, random velocity. Hi-hats, done. Squish them down. Bring them up. And something I've noticed with cymbals in general, hi-hats and all that, you don't need them hit hard. Leave them kind of soft. So I'm going to actually leave them around about there. And I might even come and turn them down a bit later. You know, we're just kind of setting a rough area for the time being. And we will come back when we can listen to just the drums on their own in a moment. And kind of just mix it to itself and go. It's pretty easy to do. So there's our hi-hats. Now, everything from this lineup is cymbals. So highlight it all. MIDI. Presets. Set 1. Boom. Let's shrink them down. And bring them... they seem a little bit wild still. Let's tame them. Bring them up. Let's put them about there for now. Right. So let's go back to the beginning and listen to our drums. See what we got. Doesn't sound bad. Not a lot of variety happening here. We'll go along into some other bits in a second, but we're listening for realism here. The snare sounds a bit different every single time. It's like it's kind of doing this. There's a bit of movement happening. Same with the cymbals. You know, he's hitting it hard. He's trying to be consistent, but human beings are not consistent. There is difference, and the human being ear, the human ear, is very good at picking up robotic precision. And it doesn't like it very much. When you hear MIDI drums, and you can go, that's MIDI drums, because it sounds too good, it sounds too accurate. You need that humanizing factor in there to make something sound real. So when we listen to just the cymbals, there's a bit of variety happening there. And that's by keeping it wild and random down here. That's how you do it. When it's within a small little, you know, we're talking about if you look here, what's the difference between here and here? It's about 20% of the entire thing. That's good. That's a good tolerance to be within. It sounds like a different hit every time because it is. You know, Superior Drummer plays its part for that for sure. Get good drums. Do the same. Let's listen. Let's go in. Now, bits like this, we can go in and do this. Just, you know, for the hell of it. Now, what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to play around with the velocity of my kick drum, just to see if I can get a bit more of a hard hit, because this is a very heavy metal song. I would rather have a much more dominant, solid sounding kick and just control the levels later on. Yeah, that's a bit better. It was a little bit too airy with the lower velocity. I want it a bit more of a harder hit. But you hear here, da-da-da, it's randomized it in a really good way. And it will be different every single time, and that's what you want. That's the key. That's why I love using this feature. Let's keep going and see if we can find some funky bits. Like here, what's going on over here? So these snare hits over here, these fast ones, sound all a little bit too hard hitting for me. So I'm gonna just select them all and bring all the velocities down. And I'm probably gonna widen them a little bit, just to kind of give them a bit of variety happening. There we go. Now let's make them a little bit wider Actually, let's turn them down first so we've got some room to play with. And then turn them up. Now just widen the range a little bit. Bit better. Probably come down a little bit more, in fact. Sounds good. So you got the main snare hit, which is nice and hard still, right in the middle. And you got this like kind of little fill type thing happening, where you have to think of how drummers physically move. When they're moving fast, they don't have time to get that much energy into it. So you don't be afraid to turn things down. Like, it makes a big difference. That's one of the things I made. That was like one of the mistakes I made for a long time. I wouldn't turn things down enough. These are some hard hits. Let's turn them up. Yep, back into that. Now this symbol, is it this one? Nope. Is it this one? Nope, is it this one? This one. So this symbol up here sounded kind of weak. So I'm going to zoom out, and it's the only time in the song it shows up. So what I was checking there, just so you can catch on, I was looking to see if there's any more MIDI notes along that line. There's only these ones here. So I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to turn up the velocity on these guys specifically, get a bit more of a harder hit. Bit better. Kind of fits in. It sounded super weak. It would be lost immediately within the mix, and it just sounds a bit better this way, I think. So and there we are, the end of the song. You know what? Let's give those toms a bit of a whack at the end there. Pretty good. You know what? I think all of the toms could come up a little bit, actually. Let's go in and select these bottom three. Here they are. Crank them a little bit. See how they sound here. That'll do. I can come in and change it later if I want to. That'll do. And just like that, drums are done. Drums are done. I've been recording this video for 20 minutes. And I've probably edited it down to somewhere around 10 or 12, maybe a little bit more, for the video that you guys are watching right now. But that's it, guys. That is all I do. My drum track is finished. Ready to go. I loaded up, my standard metal preset. I might go in and change the snare occasionally from song to song. I might use my Get Good Drums Modern Fusion if it's something like the Pellini songs I've done in the past. But if it's metal and hard rocking, I like Superior Drummer. I've got a nice setup for it. And this is all I do. It's as simple as that. Doing this manually would take hours. Took me minutes. And there we go. Hope this has been helpful for you. Subscribe if you like this sort of stuff. I will throw up these sort of random tips and tricks videos whenever I feel like I've got a good tip and trick for you. And I'll be uploading this song when I've finished it, I guess. I'll see you soon.